Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including the latest for a Plaid Model 3, Tesla's being the least stolen cars, new Highland details, and more, so let's get into it. First up today, a few Cybertruck updates. The Cybertruck release is approaching, and as Tesla is out testing this truck in many ways, we keep seeing new details. At Tesla's Fremont test track, the Cybertruck was spotted going for a drive and also doing a full launch from zero. It's definitely quick, as expected, and some rough math estimates that the 0 to 60 here took place in about 3.23 seconds. That's if this car accelerated up to 60, and it's based on a video. As best we can tell, so far Tesla has only been making dual-motor Cybertrucks, and this will likely be the launch version. It's another aspect that may point to them favoring dual-motor over tri-motor for future cars, but if that math is accurate, it would make the 0 to 60 over a full second quicker than originally announced in 2019. Rivian has achieved a 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds with their dual motor performance, so this seems very likely. An interior feature we've spotted for the first time is the sun visor in use to the side here. It's a small detail, but remarkably important in a truck with so much glass. For production, Joe Tegtmeyer does regular drone updates and as of Friday said, production pause continues, but more employee cars in parking lot and rumors most employees back next week. One Cybertruck in outbound lot. One photo shows the new entrance they've been working on at the factory. It seems to be getting close to finished, which we assume is right in time for the Cybertruck delivery event. Tesla is also prepping multiple Cybertrucks for crash testing and certification, which seems to be one of the last big tasks they are working on with many prototypes. We've seen a teaser of Tesla's own internal crash testing months ago and some post-crash testing, but final certifications appear to be going on particularly in Texas. Out in the wild as well, another Cybertruck, this time with a new colorful wrap, was spotted. Tesla is clearly trying a number of wraps here, and many are wondering if they'll offer them to customers or if they're just showing off different options. Next up today, one big piece that many have noticed with the launch of the new Model 3 is that the Performance Model 3 has disappeared entirely. In the US, it's still available alongside the whole classic Model 3 lineup, but in markets where the refreshed Model 3 has arrived, it's only rear-wheel drive or long-range all-wheel drive. This has led to speculation as to what Tesla is working on for a Performance Model 3. It's a popular configuration and an excitingly quick car, so they won't be removing it. On top of that, Tesla has confirmed that they are working on it, which means that they aren't simply going to take the current Model 3 performance and add the refreshed features to it. It would have already launched if that were the case. They will be doing quite a bit more. As it is right now, the Performance Model 3 gets a 315-mile EPA range, 162-mile-per-hour top speed, and 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds. It includes 20-inch performance wheels, performance brakes, a carbon fiber spoiler, and aluminum alloy pedals among software features like track mode. That makes a great car, but Tesla obviously has more performance available to them if they want to ship it. The Model S Plaid now starts at $90,000, gets a 396-mile range, and a 0 to 60 in 1.99 seconds stock. This still makes it the quickest accelerating car that is in production. It achieves that 1,020 horsepower with a few specific things like 3 performance motors with carbon-sleeved rotors, and more. With the introduction of the refreshed Model 3 though, Tesla is taking a lot of the features from this car and putting them back into the Model 3. The stockless steering wheel, ventilated seats, overall interior design and feel, and more. This is all coming while Model S and X sales continue to pale in comparison to the Model 3 and Y. So will Tesla introduce a Model 3 Plaid? New documentation from Europe is giving us some insight. For the first time, the new Model 3 performance has shown up in certification documents. Quote, not only have they not killed it off, it looks like they may have even improved its performance. According to the European Type Certificate, the Model 3 performance now includes a T as the 8th digit of the VIN. This is the digit that identifies the type of motor and drive unit the vehicle has. For the Model S and X Plaid specifically, that 8th digit being a T refers to tri-motor. So we could assume that this confirms it once and for all. The Model 3 Plaid tri-motor is on its way. As much as we'd love to say that, unfortunately it seems it isn't the case, at least according to Tesla's documentation here. For the 8th digit, a J means single motor, K means dual motor, S means single motor, and T means dual motor performance. If this documentation remains accurate for all markets, and the Performance Model 3 arrives in the US, it looks like tri-motor will still only be available on the Plaid Model S and X. Quote, instead what Tesla may have done is kept it as a dual motor setup, but upgraded one of the motors, most likely the front, to the same one that is found on the Model S and X Plaid. While dual motor may sound disappointing if Tesla changed motors in this way, this simple upgrade would improve top speed and acceleration, making its quarter-mile time even more impressive. That Plaid power curve could become somewhat available in the Model 3, even if it's not accelerating up to 1020 horsepower. Another thing to consider with dual motor here is the overall weight of each vehicle. The Model S Plaid is larger and includes a 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack, making it 4,766 pounds. The Model 3 Performance, on the other hand, weighs in at 4,065 pounds. If taking dual motor and replacing one or two of them with Plaid motors, that weight could increase, but as of right now it's a 700-pound difference. It could mean a 0 to 60 time approaching 2 seconds comes to the Model 3 Performance without needing a third motor. Then it raises the question, does Plaid mean 3 motors? Or does it refer to the performance that the vehicle delivers regardless of number of motors? I'd argue the latter, as Elon Musk is laser focused on deleting parts whenever possible. If they can achieve what they consider Plaid with one less motor, then that's an accomplishment for sure. This may prove to be the perfect strategy for Tesla as well. Tesla started with the Model S and X, then made the Model 3. The Model 3's motor was so good that they put it back into the Model S and X. Then they created the Plaid powertrain, and they may take some of that and put it back into the Model 3 Performance. It only makes sense, and it would be a perfect way for Tesla to avoid killing off the Plaid Model S entirely. If a tri-motor Model 3 arrived that could perform as well as or better than a Model S Plaid at around $30,000 less with very similar interior features, they would pretty much guarantee demand drops off. This move we're seeing certified could in turn make the Model 3's crazy performance that much better and what people want, while still keeping the Model S the flagship vehicle with the top performance. Long term, I do think Tesla will kill off the Model S. Elon Musk has said that they make them more for sentimental reasons than anything else, and that they are really of minor importance to our future. But for now, it looks like an improved dual motor performance Model 3 is coming, and tri-motor is reserved for their flagship vehicles. That said, there's always the possibility that Tesla does change things, and that the T in this document actually does mean tri-motor, but they'll fix that mistake in the document once the car is truly released. Leaking a Plaid Model 3 right now would be something they'd absolutely want to avoid. I'll be sure to keep you posted on how this develops, but what do you think? Is the new Model 3 Performance just going to bring some small upgrades that Tesla is doing final touches on, or will they definitely make it Plaid? Leave a comment below to let me know your thoughts. Next up today, now that the Highland Model 3 has officially launched in China, we're learning a lot of new details about that car. Until now, all of Tesla's vehicles have shipped with a manual front trunk. You can open it with a button on the key fob, the Tesla app, or from the center screen inside the vehicle. That'll just unlatch it, and then you need to manually open it. Then when you want to close it, unlike other vehicles that expect you to slam the hood to latch it, the Tesla frunk requires a little more care. You lower the hood all the way down and gently press on either side of the latch to lock it. This functionality is something a lot of owners find frustrating. If you use that space often enough, it's somewhat inconvenient. Further, it being a luxury vehicle that already has a power trunk in the back makes one wonder why they can't just duplicate it in the front. The reason, presumably, is safety. Tesla likely wants to avoid any possibility of the front trunk opening while you're driving, which would block your view as a driver. Despite this safety concern, a lot of people find that installing a third-party automatic front trunk opener is well worth it. For the new Model 3, though, this may no longer be a possibility. Tesla has employed a new safety feature on this vehicle that will pop the back latch of the hood in the event of a front collision. They're calling this pedestrian protection system Active Hood, and its purpose is to reduce head injuries to pedestrians and cyclists. The logic is it'll create a sort of crash pad out of the hood for the pedestrian to land on, with an 80mm bumper between the hood and what's beneath it. This owner posted a photo of the mechanism, which sits right under the hood, ready to spring up. Tesla says some Model 3s now, quote, rely on a series of sensors and algorithms designed and calibrated to determine when Active Hood should deploy, so it won't always deploy. If it does, though, they advise the owner to immediately take Model 3 to the nearest Tesla service center or Tesla-approved body shop, because the hood's associated sensors and actuators have to be serviced whenever Active Hood has been deployed. The raised hood will obstruct the driver's view partially, but the car should still be drivable. They also warn to use your discretion as to whether or not you should have it towed to the service center. For most owners, what this means is that power frunk modifications may be a thing of the past. Third-party kits will now be tampering with a safety device in order to function, and that will come with a ton of complications. This is for the Model 3 coming out of China and shipping in Europe as well, so we're unsure if this feature will make it to the US or if it will be required here. If it's something that does improve safety, then we hope Tesla does bring it to the United States out of their Fremont factory, but if they're not required to, they may not. Another safety feature they've added is a new manual door release in the rear, and I'm really glad to see this. Previously, only the front doors in the Model 3 had a manual door latch. It's a latch that actually looks like a normal release that you can pull to open the door if it loses power. If it's used, it causes damage to the vehicle's windows and trim, since Tesla lowers the window a bit when the doors are opened. If power is cut to the vehicle, that mechanism no longer works, but passengers, of course, still need to be able to get out. Previously, if you were in the rear, you would have had to just crawl through the front. Now, Tesla's solution is to add a cable under the panel in the door pocket that you can pull to release the door. You just remove the panel after removing whatever's in that storage pocket and pull the cord forward. It's a similar system to the one in the Model Y's back seat with one fewer step. In the Model Y, after taking any items out of that storage pocket, you have to remove the liner, then push the red tab to release the panel, then pull the release cable forward. Neither of these systems would be easy to figure out in the event of an emergency, so passengers unfamiliar with Teslas should be informed, but the car losing power is a very rare occasion. I would say it's most important that as a driver of a Tesla, you know where these are and can easily explain them to passengers in the event of an emergency. These new safety features are so far only available on the Model 3 refresh manufactured in China, as far as we can tell, so again, it's unclear when we'll see them in other markets. It's also possible that by releasing new features in one market first, Tesla will be able to work out any kinks that may arise before it's released elsewhere. That said, we're still waiting on the Highland Model 3 in the US, and now it has been finally spotted again. This time it had a camo wrap on the front and rear, but wasn't covered like Tesla had previously been doing when testing. This one was spotted in Morgan Hills, California, which is about an hour south of where Tesla makes the Model 3. Right now, production is still in question, so we'll see if we hear anything by the end of this quarter from Tesla. Next up today, research done by Troy Teslaik has compiled all of the battery tech powering Tesla's vehicles and where their batteries are coming from. At their Fremont factory, they're producing the long-range and Plaid Model S and X with 18650 cells from Panasonic Japan. That pack is the only one produced at Fremont. The Model 3 out of Fremont gets two types of batteries from 3 different manufacturers. The battery pack for the standard range is an LFP with cells manufactured by CATL in China. The pack is then produced at Giga Shanghai. The long range gets a 2170 cell made by LG China with the pack assembled at Giga Nevada. The Performance's 2170 is also assembled at Giga Nevada, but the cells are produced by Panasonic North America. Really fascinating in particular to see the difference between the long range and performance there. The Model Y out of Fremont takes the same battery packs from the Model 3 as far as we know. Both the long range and performance Model Y take a 2170 produced by Panasonic North America and assembled at Giga Nevada. At Giga Texas, they're only producing the long-range Model Y anymore with the same battery pack as the ones produced in Fremont. They're also going to be producing the Cybertruck, which will be using Tesla's in-house 4680 cells with the packs assembled under the same roof. The fact that the battery cells, packs, and vehicles will be manufactured all in the same factory leads me to believe that this will be one of Tesla's most efficiently produced vehicles. At Giga Berlin, the standard range Model Y is their only vehicle produced with BYD's LFP Blade batteries. Those packs are manufactured in Berlin with cells from BYD. Then the long-range and performance Model Ys there take 2170 cells from LG China, assembled at Giga Shanghai. At Giga Shanghai, they manufacture both the Model 3 and Y. Those batteries all come from within China with packs assembled at Giga Shanghai. The standard range Model 3 and Y take an LFP cell manufactured by CATL, and long-range Model 3 and Y take a 2170 manufactured by LG. That factory reportedly stopped producing the older Model 3 several weeks after initial production of the Highland Model 3, so this data should represent the newer model, and reportedly nothing has changed in regards to the battery pack. This is compiled research from Troy Teslaik, and Tesla could definitely have more specifics internal, but it's incredibly interesting to see. We know that Giga Shanghai has become Tesla's most efficient factory, and this is a piece of that puzzle. Manufacturing cells, battery packs in the vehicles themselves in the same general area saves a lot of time and transportation cost. Tesla seems to have it pretty dialed in and has batteries coming from all different locations to feed their production across the world when it's needed. I'm excited to see them expand further with their own 4680 cells in the future though. Hopefully we'll see the return of the 4680 Model Y as well. Next up today, both the Model 3 and Model Y have made the list for the least stolen vehicles in the United States. Data collected by the Highway Lost Data Institute between 2020 and 2022 reveals the most and least stolen vehicles during that period. It's not surprising that Tesla does well in this regard given all the security features they have. Beyond that though, their more affordable cars seem to be stolen less often. Last year alone, over 1 million cars were stolen in the US. At the top of the list were both the Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat and Hemi. Those were followed by several Kia models. Other models that were most frequently stolen were luxury cars from BMW, Infiniti, and Land Rover, as well as 3 large pickups. Of course, more inexpensive models from Honda and Nissan were also pretty frequently stolen. It seems to be a balance between the most valuable vehicles and the most common and therefore least recognizable. Teslas, being both luxury and very common, might make you think they'd be stolen pretty often, but that's not the case. As you probably know, all of Tesla's vehicles are equipped with cameras all around, as well as connectivity options that allow the owner to operate certain functions remotely. That includes Sentry Mode, which, if turned on, activates when it senses someone close to the vehicle and works even when the car is off. Even inside, there's a camera as well. The footage from an event is saved to the drive on the car and is also available to stream to the owner's phone when it's happening. On top of that, owners can track their vehicle's GPS on their phones as well. All of that makes Tesla some of the most difficult vehicles to steal. Electric vehicles also tend to park in secure areas overnight for charging, like personal garages, which make them even harder to steal. For all these reasons, Teslas show up repeatedly in the list of vehicles with the fewest whole vehicle theft claims. Of 255,929 insured four-wheel drive Model 3s, only 3 were reported stolen, representing less than 0.0012% of those vehicles. Of the 372,928 insured four-wheel drive Model Ys, only 5 were reported stolen, representing around 0.0013%. The rear-wheel drive Model 3 was reportedly stolen a little more frequently, still only representing less than 0.0033% of the 179,019 insured cars. For comparison, the Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat had 196 claims, representing 2.5% of the 7,826 SRTs insured. They say the average claim frequency is about 100, so all of Tesla's vehicles appear to be well below that. While this data doesn't tell us a whole lot of information regarding the circumstances that these cars were stolen, it's still very clear that Teslas may be some of the least stolen cars out there. That should definitely boost your confidence if you're thinking about buying a Tesla, and one tip that could add to your safety if you already have one is adding Pin to Drive. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see how the auto strike could impact Tesla in good and bad ways, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.